What's good, y'all? Welcome to the TraKCouts podcast. This is a podcast where we talk about music and life with the people living it. I'm your host, Code Red. With me, my co-host, Scorpio. What's good, Scorp?
What's going on with it? How y'all feeling today?
We drop every other Wednesday. We're interviewing artists, producers, engineers, music industry people in general. Make sure you tap in, follow along so you're notified when we drop. Today, we got a really good one for y'all. Our guest today wears so many hats. Artist, DJ, producer, host, actor, influencer, entrepreneur. The list goes on and on. His new single, High Def, is out now. Out now, streaming everywhere. The one and only, The Royal Chief. What's up, bro?
My boy.
Appreciate you sliding in.
Man. How y'all doing, man?
Doing good.
Appreciate y'all having me.
Like I just said, new single, High Def, out now. Let's get straight into that, because that thing is a cooker, if I do say so myself.
For sure.
For those of you who don't know, produced by me and Scorp. What's
You
good?
feel me?
Yeah.
A little biased, but ain't nothing wrong with it.
But let's talk about the new single, bro, because I feel like for you, it was like a switch up on the sound. Not like a full switch up, but like you want to be in like a different bag with this. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Definitely.
It kind of pushed the limits of what we usually hear from you.
Yeah. No, it's like trying to get better every time, trying to see what works or test things out and see like what people really gravitate to. In making that, like we kind of, it was on a whole different production early on. It was like listening to that and kind of, letting some people hear it and getting the reaction and then coming back to it and like, all right, how can we really get this to be effective and stand out? So it is a little different, and it takes, a little more like kind of West Coast influence, a little Southern influence, and gives something new,
Right,
what I mean?
type shit.
Yeah.
So when you say, I've been, you said test out or whatever you just said, it's like, is that, we're going to get into the DJing, but is that where you are testing shit out, is when you're DJing?
I do. I have kind of like added that into it, just seeing people's reaction or what they feel, you know what I'm saying? Just hearing something new, because the environments matter, right? Like how you place things matter. So it's like, all right, well, this is something that's a little more energetic, and it's cool, to just listen in the studio or whatever. But I want to see it like when people are out, when people are at a function, you know what I'm saying? And so I'm definitely big on like testing it out in different places and seeing what's the response there.
Yeah. So can we get into a little bit about the history of the song?
Yeah, for sure. Hell yeah.
Because I do kind of want to tell the backstory of it, because this song was actually, like, some people might not realize, it was like low-key 2 years in the making for this one song.
Yeah, low-key.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And so the original song was produced by me and Money Mike, and it was like a soul beat.
Yeah.
And we had the first and the third verse on the soul beat.
Yep.
And I remember you coming to me and you're like, yo, it's just not hitting like I want it to. And it's like, I think you had said something along the lines is like, I can't just be fucking rapping on soul beats all the time. I need something that hits. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I'm me, man, I'm super meticulous, like with the process and creating and kind of, the feeling and emotions we trying to give. And I've just felt like, because initially it was a soul beat, and it was like a Jay-Z sample. That we had chopped up some Hove shit, and it was cool. But I was just like, man, it ain't penetrating. You know what I'm saying?
Dusting off my shirt, but ain't nothing on my clothes.
Yeah, dusting off my shirt, ain't nothing on my clothes. Yeah, which, like I said, it was cold, but I'm just like, man, I felt like it was getting monotonous with a lot of other stuff I put out, and I'm just like, man, I want something that hits. And me, I'm big on like live performance. Like, I want something that's gonna. We go to the live performance and you gonna feel it. I want the subs to be, you know what I'm saying, going crazy. Like you put this in the trunk and it's your shit rattling, you know what I mean? And that's kind of what I feel it does now with the new production.
So when you came back in, we had the first and the third verse. You're like, I want this shit to go way harder.
Yep.
And so me and you sat and cooked the part one. We did not touch part two, but we sat and cooked part one. And we kind of got like that West Coast kind of bounce we had going on with that, especially with like the kick and the snare, the drums basically.
Yep.
And then so I actually you had left and I had sat there and I had cooked up part two. But part two, I had found like this raw ass piano sample, and I was vibing on it. But you hit me back. You're like, it's just like, it's like too somber. I don't know if that's what you said, but like that's the vibe it was giving
for sure
for the third verse.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And that's. Like that third verse is just like real rapping energetic, and I didn't think that the one you sent me, like, it was a cold beat. I just didn't think it matched like the energy, like coming off that first half and going into that again. I'm thinking about performance in the show, So I'm like, man, when that beat switches up, like the current version of it, like you almost gonna get more energy after the switch up.
Yeah.
You're just like, okay, now we about to like get into some like rapping, you know what I mean? Because like the first half is more like melodic. It's a little more laid back, kind of popping shit. But that second half is very like direct and in your face, and it's almost got like this industrial sound. You ain't really kind of heard nothing like that before. You ain't heard nothing like that lately. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where like I said, I think the initial one that was like more somber is like we kind of heard this type of switch up before.
Right. And so once you come back and you were like, nah, that still ain't it, fam. That's when Scorp came in. And just off the acapella, we was just playing the acapella. The first thing Scorp does is just plays that 808 exactly like you hear it on the record, basically. Yeah. And so Scorp, kind of give us like an insight to what you was hearing like when you heard the acapella and how you just straight took it there. First thing you did was play that 808.
It's because like how you said, like on that third verse, you were more so, it's not as singy. Like you start walking that mug down, that's when you start really talking your shit. And so I'm like, okay, you got to have the 808. The 808s was really going to drive people here. They knocking. So I'm like, okay, let me just let the lyrics do its thing and just let the 808 just drive along with it. You feel me?
Yeah.
Because like when I approach production, I leave a lot of space in beats. I don't like to fill them up too much. Just let the feeling be there.
Yeah.
Just keep it riding.
Yeah. And that's what's cool about it, because like that switch up feels like super sparse, and it's kind of like you said, it's got the 808 and then like the sample in there, which is like I said, it's kind of like you don't know what's going on, you know what I mean? Like when it comes in, and then you know you got the vocal chops kind of going through there, and it's just like, okay, this is this. Like we transform, we can take it somewhere else. And like you said, from there it's just we just walking it down, but it's open. It's leaving space for the verse, and for you to really lock into the verse.
Yeah, and then you had come up with the vocal chop idea on that as well. What did we chop on that? I don't even remember.
That was that J-Lo. Don't be fooled by the rise that I got. It's the beginning of it. Yeah. I mean, that was fire.
And
it's crazy.
It's crazy, Scorp, because I feel like I don't necessarily like this is where we're different as producers. You'll be like, oh, I hear something, and it's like something completely. We'll go grab it, and it fits perfectly. I don't really think like that. I like to experiment and warp shit till I find something cool. But like on that, and then we had cooked up we were working on a beat for something that you're working on, and you're just like, oh, I hear the sample, and we just drop it in, and it fits perfectly. It's not even like it needs to be too crazy. So like when you're listening to music, you're just constantly thinking, grabbing stuff like where would this fit? Where this fit? You got like a database in your head or how are you thinking about stuff like that?
I think it kind of comes from like my marching band background a little bit, just because like I'll be listening to like the reoccurring patterns that happen and stuff. Because like rather than just being, not saying that not all artists know how to read music, but like when I'm looking at sheet music, I'm seeing the repetitive patterns and melodies that are in this song, that song, and I just hear it. And I pick up on that when I listen to something else, and it's just always in my head. Yeah. So I can hear something, I'll be like, okay, that's the exact same kind of rhythm that was matching up with the counter melody of another song. And I'm like, okay, we can line that right up.
Yeah. You was a drummer, a drumline?
Nah, I played trumpet, trombone, French horn. I was just playing brass.
I was on the brass, yeah.
You know
what I'm saying? Marching band alumni, I played the sax.
I got live Scorp on the horns on multiple tracks.
Oh, that's cool.
Which is interesting because so you're a brass player, but you know it's like I feel like your drum sound is what I can tell. I feel like you've been switching that up recently. I feel like you've been like doing a lot more like break beats and sampled drums compared to how you used to work. Because I feel like maybe a year or two ago, your drums was like how I could instantly know it was like a Scorpio beat. You know what I'm saying? But like, so where? If you play what did you play in marching band?
I played sax.
You played Woods. So like, how do you guys come up with your rhythm and stuff? You know what I mean? Because it's like, I feel like if I'm saying, oh, your drums is your signature, I feel like that's a Scorp rhythm or whatever. You know what I mean? It's like, where do you draw the rhythmic influence? Also from marching band still?
I feel like that rhythmic influence comes from. I feel like it comes from that drum line because I was always gravitated towards the drum line. Same. You feel me? Because all my homies that were in the band, I was cool with everybody in the band. You kind of have to be the way band is for sure.
Right.
But my like closest homies was all in the drum line.
Okay.
So I'm always with at practice with them while they cooking up, creating the cadence and stuff like that. So I got that percussion kind of background embedded in my head. So I'm always trying to figure out something that's a little bit more exotic, especially with the drums.
Yeah, no, that makes sense, which is cool. Like it's I was in the woodwinds. Playing sax and shit was cool, bro. Like when I started marching band, I wanted to be in the drum line so bad, bro. It's like the drum line is just hard.
It's the heart of the band.
It's so cold, bro.
I mean, I wasn't in marching band, but I watched drumline about 1,000 times. So
yeah, I mean, the drum line is it's different. It's different.
See, and I listened to like mostly rock music growing up, so I feel like my rhythm styles are more like locked in, like straight. You know what I'm saying, and not much as pocket as like a drum line would be
For
type
sure.
shit. You know what I'm saying? Let's talk about you as a producer though, because you said that you're like, oh, I'm meticulous, dog. And we definitely know that working with you. Like we've never had like a V1 be the final. You know what I'm saying? So like
never.
As soon as like a producer sends you something or like you work at something and you leave the studio and you come back and you usually want to come back and add something or change something.
Yeah.
So where and when did you get in your producer bag, and when were you like, it's my music, I'm hands on, that's how we're gonna do it?
Man, it was really low key kind of from the start. Cause I just kind of always been a DIY, cause I ain't never really had nobody to do it, you know, for me. So like when I first started like making music and rapping and whatnot, you know, I was of course rapping over other instrumentals and stuff. You know, you download some shit, but I was like, you know, I want to like make my own stuff. So of course, you know, I downloaded Fruity Loops. I found a way to crack it and get the full version.
We all did at one point.
I imagine everybody did. So I downloaded Fruity Loops. I found a way to crack it. I had the full version, and then I was just sitting in there, you know, making my own beat. I went and got one of the little M-Audio keyboards and was, you know, on there fucking around and, you know, making my own shit so that I could, you know, rap over it. And I think that's kind of what at least got me into the mind frame of you know, structuring and really making my music that way. You know, it was like sitting down like, okay, I'm gonna make the beat, and then I'm gonna, you know, write to the beat, and then I'm gonna go back and arrange it how I think it should be arranged. And, you know, like, cause I'm big on like song structure, and you know, I feel like everybody today just kind of give me the beat, I'm gonna go rap over the beat. But I'm like, man, I like dynamics. Like I like things doing things. I like bridges. I like hooks. I like a pre-hook. You know, like all those type of things is like what really makes music, you know, beautiful for me. So I think that's where it started when I first started kind of picking up music and writing, and then just needing my own original soundscapes to rap over.
So you were making your own beats?
Yes, I was at least making the framework of it. And then, you know, I had some homies who were like musicians and whatnot who I would kind of connect and collab with and be like, all right, you know, you kind of see what I'm envisioning. How can we then level it up? You know, musicians who are just better than me at that, right?
Yeah. And I think that's one of the things about working with you is like we get such unique and original arrangements. I feel like so many people now, especially when they are rappers and they just bring the beats in, it's like they're just glued to like what's already the structure. Yeah. It's like, how many times have you been in a session? They'll be like, is that where the hook comes back in? I'm like, bro, we can do whatever we want.
Facts.
And I feel like that's what you do. You do whatever you want. And it's like I said, we're never locked in on V1. That's very rare.
For sure.
And that's a positive. I'm not saying that as a negative. Like the final product is always better than like, and even on this song on High Def, even after we cooked the second part of the beat, we sent it and you came back and we still rearranged it.
Yeah. Because there was something y'all wasn't liking. I think on that first half of the beat, there was something he's like, oh, it's still something off. Yeah. And I was just like, I mean, it sound cool to me, but then y'all came out there, you said you went to Scorp, and he like, I think he just turned something up. Something like that. Yeah. I think he just turned the volume or something up. And it's crazy just how something that small can just make a big change. Because it's just like, oh, now it definitely feels right now. Yeah. For sure. And, you know, that's something I didn't even kind of peep or think to, you know, but that's the good part of like working with other people and kind of getting other minds and thoughts on it.
Yeah.
To bounce off of like speaking about like working with other people, you perform a lot with like bands and real not with actual like instrumental musicians.
Yeah.
How has that been? Like, are these people that you've always known, or just people that you've like kind of just found as you've been working your way around, just performing and stuff like that?
It's definitely people I found. Man, I'm here to tell you, putting a band together is hard as fuck, bro. Like, like I wanted, you know, man, I'm always trying to like elevate it, right? And I think I love like rap music. The easiest part of rap for me has always been the performance part. Like that's what I was like just a natural at.
Which is crazy because I feel like that is like so flipped now.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I think you're right. I think a lot of people are better at like making the music.
Right.
100%.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I think I've always been like skilled at that, and I work meticulously at that. But performing, like from day one, I was good at that.
Yeah.
And was just kind of natural at that. Like people never scared me. Performing in front of people never scared me. I was always good at controlling crowds and whatnot. And so I was just big on like I need my performances to elevate, you know what I mean, to be a separator for like when I'm out, because to me that's where you really like convert fans over, is at a live show.
Yep.
You go do a live show and like people, that's where they're most engaged. They ain't just on their phone listening to something in passing. Like we're at a live show, so we're gonna be engaged with what's on the stage, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like, all right, I need to really win people over there. Like that needs to be the conversion from just somebody to a fan, right? From somebody who don't know me to a fan. So I was like, okay, a band is gonna automatically just separate me, especially as a rapper, because people don't, only the top tier people, even think to bring bands out. So I'm like, well, that alone is gonna separate me. So I started 2017, starting to try to put together a band, and that shit is hard, bro. It's hard getting people to buy into what you're doing. Money wise, it's hard if like you ain't, especially early on, because you ain't. Man, usually ain't making too much money on shows, so
sure.
It's like paying everybody and like I said, getting people to like rehearse and like learn the music. Cause that's the other part. A lot of people, musicians, they just used to like gigging and going in and send the music and we just show up and do it. You know what I mean? And I'm meticulous where I'm like, no, we have to sit down and learn this song. Like I need y'all to know the ins and outs, and then I need us to learn the song and then restructure it for the live show. Like we need drops and different things, and maybe we gonna extend the hook or put an intro or outro, you know what I mean? Make an arrangement of it. And I'm just like, I'm like, this is what I need. Like I need an MD and somebody to really like sit down and build the live version arrangement of this with me. And so it took years, bro. I was people in and out, conflicts with people, you know what I'm saying? Niggas was upset. They felt like they wasn't getting money, or they felt like money was like more owed to them than what they was doing, and it was just a lot. And so the group I got now, I can't tell you how many people I done flipped in and out of the band, just, working it through it. Lives, motherfuckers go have kids and get married and shit change, or something start working for them elsewhere,
Facts.
They got a whole nother company. I had one nigga I was working with, he was like a barber, and then so he's doing barber and like photography and stuff, so that shit start to kind of crack off and be more lucrative for him. So yeah, bro, it's a lot, but it took some years before I got the group. And the group I work with now, I think we've been locked in for about 2 years now, kind of the main group, Clarence, TA. So yeah, and we just added Eddie Moore last year. So that's kind of been the core group. But yeah, bro, it's time, it takes a lot of effort, and it's really just getting people to buy in and really invest.
Right.
That's what that, like, when you're doing it at that level, it's an investment.
Right.
Like, they got to be just as bought in as I'm bought in, and they got to get value from it like I am. It can't just be about me. I got to make sure they're getting like fulfillment in this.
Right.
And they feel like they're gaining something and getting something, and it's fun and they enjoy it. And so it's team chemistry type shit. It's like building a fucking NBA team, like making sure you got specialists and making sure it all flow right and we can execute like we need to.
So are you thinking like, so the new single we're talking about, like we got to turn up the energy with the most recent single, that is like, you were thinking about the live performance aspect, or you were just creating the art and that's just the way it took you?
I think I'm always kind of thinking about the live performance, like even when I'm not, I may not directly say it, but I think I'm always thinking like, okay, again, I think my biggest strength is a live show. How is this going to work at a live show? You know what I mean? How can this be effective? So it's always something that kind of comes to my mind, because I know everything don't have to be built for that. And we got things that may be, slower and stuff, but that just, again, adds to the dynamic of the show and makes the show a journey where it ain't just one level the whole time. You know what I mean? So it's definitely something I'm always thinking about dynamics.
Yeah.
And like making this song tell a story or take us on a journey, and not just kind of be whatever. You know what I mean? Because I don't like to be whatever about the art.
For sure.
Shout out to Crown Jewels, man. I feel like you guys are. I feel like precision is one of the words that I think of when I think of you guys, because it's like never miss a beat. Everything is like just as meticulous as you are with this. I feel like you bring that same energy to the live performance. So it's every song transition, every break, you guys are on in-ears, so you guys have, cues and all that kind of stuff.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, and all that shit's like a learning process, even for me, you know what I mean? Because like you got what you want to do, but even converting to like in-ears and understanding that, there was a time when we weren't doing that, and I was like, man, my music ain't sounding how I need it to sound. It ain't sounding like the record because we couldn't run in ears.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because then like I can't play the track. Like there was a point where I was like, we'll have my DJ play the track, but the drummer can't hear the track.
Right. So
you know what I mean? So he gonna get off beat.
He's just hoping he's on beat.
He's just hoping he's on beat.
Yeah.
And now everybody off. You know what I mean? Because it's like who we following the drummer, and that's kind of when we had to make the conversion to like using in-ears, and then we got cues and things, set up in the in-ears. But like even that was a conversion, but also an investment. I had to buy a bunch of equipment, for us to even be able to do that. So yes, it's a lot, man. It's like I said, having a band like regularly is definitely an investment and takes a lot to get it to that level. So big shout out to them dudes.
So when you say, the music wasn't sounding like the record live, is that more of a performance problem, or is that more of like a crowd problem where now the expectation is if I to show up and it doesn't sound like the album, this is not good?
So it is,
because I feel like there should be a certain degree of like realization of the crowd live, like this is a live performance. It's not supposed to sound like the album.
For sure. Yes. And that's like you're correct. Like it's not supposed to sound. It's supposed to feel different,
right?
But there's a point where it feels so different that it's like unfamiliar,
right?
And I don't like this. Don't even sound like the song no more. It just sounds like I'm hearing just something different.
Yeah,
and that was kind of the trouble I was running into earlier on, because there would be things like in the song, like we'll use high def, right? There's a sample in there. There's not an instrument that can replay that sample,
right?
You know what I mean? So if the sample is gone, then if that was like an integral part of the song,
we missing an
element now. You know what I mean? So it's like, okay, how can you and there's some places that makes sense, like a Tiny Desk type live performance. Well, that makes sense for. We're going like straight acoustic, straight live instrument, and even then we have to sit down and arrange that correctly so that it can give the right emotion and make sure we're hitting everything right, So there's definitely a balance in it. You want it to feel different but still familiar, if that makes sense, which is crazy.
I get what you're saying.
Like you want it to we want this to feel like a new experience, but just a new experience with something I already know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's the tough part of it all.
I guess I asked that too because like I seen this clip, I think on Instagram probably a month or two ago.
Yeah.
And it was Tommy Richmond performing, and people were just on his ass because it didn't sound like the album. Yeah. And I'm like, of course it doesn't sound like the album. He's performing it right now.
Yeah, I mean, he's performing it. He only has one voice. He can't put the 3 or 4 different stacks on the vocals and all the harmonic shit on there.
And all the lo-fi plugins and everything on there. I mean, like,
it's not going to work.
I just think we have a disconnect now. It's like post-pandemic that people aren't going to shows, so they don't know what to expect. Yeah. You know what I mean? So it's like...
And I mean, part of that is because people be having terrible shows.
Facts.
You know what I mean? Like most motherfuckers.
Now, I'm not saying there isn't people out here that they need to get their shit right.
Yeah,
but I feel like 40 or 50 years ago, if I went to go see Led Zeppelin or some shit, it ain't gonna sound like the album, but it's gonna be badass
for sure. Oh,
you know what I'm saying? So like, how do we? What's the disconnect? You know what I'm saying?
I think part of that is like artist development over the years and just the music industry change, right?
Yeah,
because
facts.
Back, like you said, the Led Zeppelin was a label got with them, they signing them, they're bringing them through artist development, they're growing, and they're having to go on the road and do shows and build up to that.
Yeah.
Part of it is the way music is made. Like if I go to a Led Zeppelin show, what they're playing live is also what they was playing in the studio, right? Like now we got so many digital sounds and things that again, unless you got like a full band and shit up there, a lot of this shit ain't being played live.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you just playing it with your DJ. You playing the 2-track.
Right.
So it's like you're not even able to get those full elements, people not going through artist development. I don't think artists understand what shows can do, how integral that is to what they're doing. You know, like in music, that you don't make money off the music, like the stream. I mean, you can make money off streams, but you understand what I'm saying. Like, it's not what it used to be.
Right.
You know, like if you're having a successful music career, touring and merchandise is going to be like kind of your big touring, merchandise, and like sync placements are going to be like what rakes you in, you know, true money, right?
Yeah.
So I don't think people understand that. They just think, I'm gonna put a song out, it's gonna hit, and you know, I'm gonna get a bunch of money or whatever, whatever. And it's just like, man, I need to go tour this. And if I want people in the room when I tour, I need to make sure I put on a good show for them to come see. You know what I'm saying? For them to be like, wow, and amazed by and really connect with, because that's gonna, you know, fund what I do. You know, fund my art, fund my dreams.
And
I don't think
really the
people understand
merch,
that.
like you said too. I've had this conversation with you before. It's like you could make a living off 1,000 dedicated fans that buy merch.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, definitely.
that most artists don't realize that. They think they need to get huge numbers, and it's like maybe you need to focus more on, you know, harnessing the power of building your fan base instead of like just trying to reach everyone.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
It's, man, I live this shit by a rule of 10, right? 3 people gonna love it, 3 people gonna hate it, 4 people gonna be indifferent. You know what I'm saying? And so it's like, I can only focus on the 3 people who love it. 3 people who hate it don't matter. The 4 people who indifferent don't matter, right? Let me lock in on them 3 people and make something that they relate to and connect with, so that they want to continue, they find value in it and they want to continue supporting it, right? Because like you said, like, we think of music and I can only perform so many times. I can only tour so much, right? Like I need you to sustain it. You kind of need something that's passive, right? So we'll just go to 2 big names. Rihanna became a billionaire when she started doing Fenty and selling makeup. Yeah. And she was like, I'm gonna lock in and find a product and go to a underserved market and do something in this market that's never been done. And it blows up and she becomes who she becomes, and she ain't never got to put out an album again. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And she can just survive off that. Kanye West and Yeezy brand. He done gave us all these great albums. I guarantee his most successful thing is fucking Yeezy and the shoes and the clothes and the product, because that's something tangible for people to like wear and be a part of, you know, and feel connected to. Right. And it's just like, those are the things that you, Dr. Dre in the headphones. Right. As much music success as he's had. He's had all the most music success. We think he's the greatest producer ever. Man, them headphones probably made him more than any of that music ever will. You know what I'm saying? And generationally, you know, down the line, like he's gonna be able to just live out when the music fades, and not that it's gonna fade, but you get what I'm saying. Like, when people lose connect with that, they always get some headphones. You know what I mean? So it's like, having a product is something for people to connect with, like as an artist, especially an independent artist. Man, you gotta have that. Yeah.
And so like in the streaming era especially, it's like we're not selling physical copies of the music, so you have to tie it into something tangible, like you're saying, that you can sell. Yeah. And I think that's why we wanted to get you on the podcast for real, bro, because you're such a wealth of like knowledge for all this stuff as somebody that's out here actually like making a living off of it. Yeah. And so when I introed you, you know, we said you do like 13, 14 different things. Yeah. How are you prioritizing? Like, obviously, I know you, and I know like music is like everything for you. So like, you're an artist first, but how are you prioritizing like what you're doing at any given day, moment, week, month, whatever?
Yeah. So, you know, it's funny, man. I went full time in music in 2022, right? Like I was working at Amazon. And I was always one of them, like, I need, you know, you got to have a job to like sustain life and, you know, live and do what you got to do. I was working at Amazon, bro, and I got fired because I did a show and a fan had gave me some weed. You know what I'm saying? And I just threw it in my bag and wasn't thinking about it. So like, driving for Amazon, I got back, they was checking my truck, my bag fell open, the weed fell out.
Damn. Crazy. Not the weed falling out of the bag.
Weed fell out my bag, bro. Weed fell out my bag, dog. And I'm like, oh, damn. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to clean. I'm like, oh, you know, I'll do a drug test, da-da-da. Dude's like, oh, don't trip. And they called me back. I was like, yo, we got to let you go, right?
Damn.
Crazy work.
Yeah. So from there, I was just like, you know what? And I know how I've always been with jobs. Like, I ain't never been a company man. And there's no shade to anybody who does. Like, I understand the value. I just know the music was my focus, right? That's my plan A. So I never gave to jobs what they really needed, you know, to sustain and run their company. And I was just like, bro, I'm just tired of my well-being being in somebody else's hands. And I was just like, I'm just going full on in this music, right? And so I remember having this conversation with Rook from Justice League back in Tree Sound, and he was always just adamant about if you really want to do this stuff, you can't have a day job, right? And I didn't believe him at first because I'm just like, well, you know, how we supposed to live, da-da-da-da. He's just like, you just have to do whatever you have to do to only do this. You know what I mean? And so I didn't believe it until I started doing it and realized this takes so much. You're not going to have the capacity for a lot of other things if you like working your day job and trying to do this and just have regular life, right? And so for me, I went full time in music and was immediately like, okay, I need to start figuring out other touch points within music that I can do to, you know, sustain my life. Because like music alone, at my current point, I couldn't just live off just music, right? So I was like, all right, well, I'm doing events, you know, we started like the DJ battle and stuff like that. And I was just like, okay, you know, my DJ A Will, it kind of just showed me some things on the mixer. And I was like, I can do this. And especially after I realized that it's so close to just making music. Right. I'm like, oh, this is something I can probably do regularly. You know what I mean? I'm like, well, that also, not only can I do this, but I can also like add this into what I do musically. You know what I'm saying? I can have my listening parties and be playing my music, or I can, you know, throw events and stuff and make sure I'm spinning my shit because ain't nobody else spinning my shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And making sure it gets heard and making moments, right? I know I'm good at being on the mic and talking and whatnot because I'm good at performing. Well, I can host things, you know what I'm saying, and bring value to people in that way. And then when, you know, people hire me to host things, I'll be like, cool, also let me perform, you know what I'm saying, and do my performance and cool. And now I'm connecting to people in a different way, but it ain't too far from the music, you know. It's all kind of around that. And that was my big thing, is like, bro, I don't want to pick up side gigs and things that ain't like the music, right? Like Ubering and shit like that, or, you know, like that's cool, but it ain't connected to what I do.
So you're making sure everything you do is tied into the Royal Chief.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And everything is tied into that. Everything is connected back to the music, or I can find ways to leverage it and connect people to that, you know, whether it's that, the influencer stuff, whatever it is, it all comes back to the Royal Chief and what my passion is.
Hey everyone, Code Red here. If you like the way this podcast looks and sounds, it's filmed on location at Code Red Productions. We handle all your audio needs for music, commercials, and podcasts. You can find us on Instagram or Facebook at Code Red Productions KC, or visit our website, coderedproductionskc.com. We'll see you here. Back to the show. Let's talk about the influencer stuff, because I feel like recently, not that you haven't been building your social media for years, but I feel like in the last couple months, it's really just been like, yo, you're like damn near just an influencer for real.
Yeah.
And so like, let's talk about some of these like partnerships you've been working with. Visit KC, B&B Theaters, the KC Current.
Yeah.
How are you seeking out these relationships, or how are these relationships coming to you? And then how are you capitalizing on them when they do knock?
I think part of that starts from like the KC Current thing. One, my sister has always been adamant. My sister's my partner in crime. You know, she does all like my basically anything that's not the music, she's probably like doing, and we're, you know, creating. Like, she's all the design work, the cover arts, a lot of the photo shoots, all that stuff.
And everything's like super consistent
for sure. And that's you know, her creating, and she works in the social media world, and so she's somebody who's always kind of been in my ear about, you know, walking the line, you know, with what I do musically, and, you know, like the influencer life and how I can leverage it and you know, make them kind of flow into one another, right? But we take a lot of stuff recently, like you said, in the last few months, kicked off from the KC Current thing, which is shout out my dog DP. I met DP maybe four maybe years ago. But her girlfriend was a fan of my music. And that's kind of how I got connected to him. I believe they like came to a show, and of course, you know, we talked or whatnot, and we just sparked a friendship. And she was working for a different company at the time, but they were having an event and wanted to book an artist for it. And of course, she suggested me. And so she booked me, and I did the performance. And then she left that company and shifted over to the KC Current, and was just working there. We go to games and whatnot and hang out, and met a few of the players. AD, shout out AD, my dog. Met a few players and whatnot, and was just cool over the years. Nothing too crazy. But then this year, they got their Black Entrepreneurship Program, which is they got several businesses that they essentially go and kind of do a semi-interview with and connect with, and they bring some of the players through, and the business just talks about what they got going on. It's just one of their initiatives with the team on building in the community. So they needed a host for it, and of course, after I kind of made the pivot to hosting and whatnot, she was just like, well, let's hit him up and have him come in and do it. And I was just like, I'm down. And so they hit me up and they're like, yo, we want to kind of do a song to like announce it, right? Mm-hmm. And so we had talked about, just amongst ourselves, me, her, and a couple of the players had talked previously about doing a song for the team, but we just never like had the opportunity. So I was like, well, I think this might be the perfect time to do a song like for the team. And so when they brought it, it was just supposed to be something for the series. But I was just like, I'm gonna just make y'all something for y'all.
Yeah.
That y'all can just use regularly, because they just didn't have a team. Like, everybody that made a Chiefs song, everybody that made a Royals song, but I hadn't heard a KC Current song.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, I'll just make you guys your own song, and then we can, see how it works from there, right? Mm-hmm. And so we locked in. I think I hit you up like as soon as I got off the phone with them when they said they wanted songs. Like, hey, they want us to do this song. I think I sent you a voice memo, kind of like what I like.
You had you had like beatbox some ideas.
Yeah, I beatbox some ideas to you. I usually record on my iPhone some ideas to you, and just sent you that and was just like, let's see if we can make something around this. And so then we sat down. I came in and like you had it. Now you had made it some dope. You made it what we hear now, which is crazy. That's probably the first V1 where it was pretty much.
It kind of was. We had tweaked it, of course, a little bit, but you were like, nah, that's good. I'm about to come in and record it, bro. Yeah. I'm like, say less.
So I sent it to you. You had built around, the beatbox and turned it into what it is now.
The beatbox is actually in the song. Like I had.
Oh, dead ass?
Yeah.
I didn't even know that.
The claps you were doing on the beatboxing and stuff are in the song.
I had no idea. Yeah. That's crazy.
On some Timberland shit.
Yeah, facts. I didn't even know that. So we just formed it from there. And I think doing that, making the song, they loved it. They had me come out and like do the one mic, to announce it and all that. And we made it like the team
which was like beautiful, bro. You were like in the stadium.
Crazy.
That shit looked so fire.
Yeah. It was crazy, man. Shout out Dalton and them shooting that. Yeah, that was just a moment, and it was like full circle, because it's like, man, we had kind of been talking about that for 3 years, and this was just the opportunity to do it where everything kind of aligned for it.
Yeah.
But I think from there, a lot of things kind of trickled down, influencer wise. And once businesses and companies and other people kind of saw that, it almost kind of gave me like the stamp of approval, to other people. And you kind of need, that's like the lob, right? Mm-hmm. Like, how the cosign, that's really what it was. Like they kind of co-signed me, and that kind of opened up the floodgates for, a lot of the other collaborations.
Right. And I think like the cosign doesn't just happen because of like the visual aspect of it. Like when you say you got off the phone with them and you immediately hit me up and you're like, yo, like we're moving, you know what I'm saying? Like that's one of the reasons I like working with you, is because it's like we don't say something and then we'll work on it 2 months later. Like when we say something, it's like that's what we're doing now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I feel like that's what a lot of artists like. There's a sense of urgency to what you got going on. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I don't know if urgency is the right word, but maybe professionalism is the right word. You know what I mean? Like we're here to do stuff now.
Yeah. I mean, like, what are we waiting on?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like he said they want to do a song. Well, let's go make a song. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like if we really like about it like that.
Right. Yeah.
And that's how the mind. If you really want to do this stuff seriously, that's like the mind frame you gotta have. Like you have to treat this like a job. Like this ain't just a hobby. I think a lot of people treat it like a hobby and think they're gonna be successful doing it as a hobby. This ain't a hobby.
Right.
Like you have to really put in time, energy, effort, and commit to this stuff. You know what I'm saying? You want it to be fun and all of that. But a lot of this shit ain't gonna be fun.
And I feel like part of the message is like you said, in 2022, you're like, all right, I'm just jumping in. I'm doing music and I'm doing everything that I can to make my Royal Chief brand what it is right now.
Yeah.
So like the urgency, but also like artists, like even if you are working like a 9 to 5, like supporting your dreams, you have to like try to at least come up with a plan that you can like break free of that.
Yeah.
Or like say, okay, I'm going to work this job till here, save this money, and then I can use that to then advance my goals in music to the point where I don't have to. You can't just like keep working your job and being like drop a song every 6 months and be like, damn, I hope this works out for me.
No,
you know what I mean?
Like you have to think about what you're doing.
Right.
I think a lot of people are just winging it. Like,
right.
You can't wing it. You have to sit down and have a strategy. And like you said, I'm working this job right now. 6 months from now, do I want to be working this job, or am I trying to do this stuff? Like it's got to be, I'm working a full-time job. How can I get this down to a part-time job? You know what I'm saying? If this is what I'm really trying to do, how can I make what I'm doing musically lucrative enough to replace this?
Yeah.
Or how can I find other things? I'll tell you what helped me. My in 2020, I had met this dude, family friend. He gave me life insurance. You know what I'm saying? Get life insurance, by the way. I know that sounds like some old nigga shit. Get some fucking life insurance, yo. But
and some car insurance, goddamn.
Car insurance, yeah, all the above. Yeah. But he got life insurance like for me, right? And so I was asking him, I was like, I want to figure out like investing, or I was just like, what can I invest in to make some money, right? I ain't know if it was stock markets or whatever. And he was just like, you should invest in real estate. That's probably the most, for sure thing that you can invest in, right? Mm-hmm. And I was like, okay. And so he was also a real estate agent. So, I mean, of course he was going to tell me real estate.
Yeah, right.
He's like, nigga, come buy a house.
Yeah. No. I think you need to invest in studio time.
Right.
Mixing and mastering.
Right. And a podcast.
Yeah.
Right. But he had told me that, and I was just like, okay. And so he kind of took me through the process. And what I ended up doing, I ended up buying a duplex, right? And so in buying a duplex, like it became an investment property. And there was a bunch of stuff like grants and things that were available for me to get it. And basically I bought the duplex and it only cost me $900 to buy it. Like that's all I paid. And so when I stopped working.
I'm sorry. Did you say $900?
Yeah,
that ass like,
I was like, whoa.
Yeah,
bro, that ass all I paid to get the place was the inspection. The inspection was like $950.
Crazy.
And that's all I paid, to get it was the $950. Cause like all the grants and shit that he had told me about like covered like all my down payments. I was living in one side and renting out the other side, which if you do that, it's called owner occupied, and usually you got to do a 20% down payment. But if you live in it, that brings the down payment down to 3.5%. So the down payment was around like $9,000. And then all the grants just covered the $9,000.
Fire.
So then all I had to pay was the $900 inspection, and I got the place. You know what I'm saying? Which a lot of motherfuckers don't know. I didn't know about it. But it's just like, these are the type of things you can do. You know what I'm saying? And now I got a property that, I can live in, and, I'm making money on another side that can cover a lot of my mortgage, right? I think my mortgage at the time was like $1,300, and the other side was giving me $1,250. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, well, there you go. But having that, your biggest expense is usually gonna be like your rent. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, well, shit, if your rent gets wiped out, that just freed up a whole lot of money for you. You know what I'm saying? And so it's like when I quit the job, one thing I didn't have to worry about was where I was gonna live. Sure. You know what I'm saying? Or like paying my mortgage, because I knew I had some income coming from that. You know what I'm saying? I was just like, okay, cool. That just lowered like how much I need to make to like still survive. Right now I just got to pay like utilities and food and whatnot. And those are things to think about. Like if you work in a job, it's like consider getting a rental property. You know what I'm saying? And that'll probably take away some of the expenses you got, which will then allow you to shift and shift more of your time, energy, effort into like your passion, your dreams. You know what I mean? So there's like little things, and I obviously didn't think about it that way initially because I had no plans on. I bought it in 2020. I didn't lose my job till 2022, but after the fact, I was just like, damn, I didn't even think like that. Just opened up. That just kind of made the fall a lot easier for me. In shifting from not working the 9 to 5.
Right. So I mean, technically, you are working. You're a landlord. right?
Yeah, I guess technically,
yeah.
Which is, I mean, it ain't
Then
too much
ain't
work.
no full-time job when it's
About to say it's just like, hey, just let me get your rent every month, and then fix what if it's some issues going on there, you fix the issues, or you call whoever you go, call a plumber.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that ain't really too much. Plus, they also got like management companies that you can just pay to do it. You know what I mean? And they're like, cool, we need like a percentage of the rent. 8% of whatever you bring it in, which is just like, oh, okay, well that ain't much. You know what I'm saying? If I 10%, we'll say 10%. 10% of $900, $90. Cool. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And y'all handle it all, and I ain't got to do nothing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
all right, artists, producers, when this episode is done, rewind that shit and watch it again because he's giving you guys so much game and blueprint of how to be an artist full time.
Yeah, definitely. Listen, man, if you're in a position where you work a 9 to 5 and you can go get you like a rental property or something to basically supplant your rent, mortgage, income, I would definitely suggest doing that. That's worked for me.
Back on the influencer tip. So I want to talk about the Visit KC thing because the Visit KC partnership that you have is like, that's one where I was like, whoa, he's actually like a fucking social media influencer now. Because like now you're the face of the city, dude. You know what I'm saying?
If you say so, man.
I mean, Instagram says so. You at the Big 12 tournament, you hopping around downtown doing different kinds of things.
Yeah.
Like how did the Visit KC? I know you said it was all,
yeah, kind of off the current.
Right.
Yep.
So, but talk to us about the Visit KC.
Yeah, I mean, so like, they would just they do a lot of like influencer initiatives. They're big on like tourism for the city, so they're looking for people to advertise the city, and when the big events come into town that are bringing tourism, they're looking to showcase those things. So kind of off the strength of the current thing, they would kind of loop me in on the stuff they got going on, like Big 12 and the other things, the big tourism based events. And of course, I ain't gonna turn it down. They reach out to me, sure, I'll come showcase what we're trying to show for the city, because again, it just kind of gives me another platform to showcase myself, my personality, the value I can bring, and that's the big piece for me. I think, how can I bring value to the entity, right? Because these are businesses, like they businesses, they not just random people. Like there's a goal that they have, and so it's like, how can I leverage what I do to bring value to them, so that I'm an asset to them, right?
Yeah.
And that's the big thing. It's like, all right, they're looking for a personality to showcase the tourism and events going on in the city. Cool. I know I'm charismatic. I'm good at being on camera, whatever. Let me go bring value to them in that way.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so, yeah, they would just hit me up for influencer kind of things. And I would be like, all right, cool. And let me go in here and then put in the work and kind of bring something that maybe somebody else can't bring, or, leverage my talents to bolster what they doing.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's felt like a good relationship.
So with everything that you juggle, you got to have like some kind of organization or systems like in place to help you maintain and stay organized. I know when it comes to the social media, we had talked about the rollout for the new single.
Yeah.
And you had said like something crazy, like you were going to have like 60 plus pieces of content for the one single.
Yeah.
You said you had it like laid out in a spreadsheet.
Yeah.
So kind of walk us through your systems, like starting with social media, but I also want to get into your systems about other stuff in life.
Yeah. I mean, so like you said, when we talked about the rollout, I'm like, ooh, we need like 60 pieces of content for this single, right? And I think that's the music is the easiest part of all of this. We all of us, we can make music in our sleep. We've been doing this so long, we can come in, we in the studio, we throw on beats, make beats, whatever. We know we can do that. The marketing is the hard part, because that's the real work of it all. Like, we enjoy the music. The marketing is what's going to be difficult. The marketing is arguably the most important part. There's part of me that it's like 1A, 1B type things, right? So when it comes to the marketing, it takes a person seeing something, like, I think they say like 3 to 7 times before it like sticks in your head. You know what I mean? And like you think of a song. There's songs you don't even listen to that you know the words to,
right?
Because motherfuckers just beating you over the head with that song, right? And like keeping it in your face. And I think artists need to take that in and be like, all right, I just dropped a single. I need to beat people over the head with it. You know what I mean? Like, I need to have this. Every time you open up Instagram, Facebook, whatever, I'm here. And you're hearing the definition. You know what I'm saying? And it's just going to get stuck in your head. Like, I'm going to keep playing you this part of the song and for 60 times for the next 60 days. And you're going to know the motherfucking song. You know what I mean? And like, that's the stuff I don't think artists like think about. Like, there's a rush you get when you put out a new song, right? For sure. And I understand, like, that's that dopamine hit. Like, yeah, I just put out some new shit. And they be chasing that. And I'm like, but what about the song you just put out? Like, you didn't promote the song. You didn't push the song. You didn't make nothing around the song. You didn't story tell about the song. Like, connecting with somebody. Like, tell me how you made. We just sat down and had a conversation on how we made this song. That's going to resonate with people. They want to know that stuff.
Yeah.
You know, people aren't doing those things. So it's like, we're going to sit down. You know me, I'm like, if we're going to roll this single out for the next 6 weeks, we're going to take the next 2 months, the next 12 weeks, and plan out that 6 weeks. You know what I mean? Before we even put the song out. Like, it's like right now, you know what we got in the chamber, you know what we got on the way. Like, we've been planning that out for the last few months. Yeah. We're just now getting to the point where we're starting to roll the stuff out. And it's like getting ahead of the curve. Like, listen, artists, nobody cares about you. We're nobodies right now. Because I think people get in their frame like, oh, I need to make sure I come back this, and the people, and they don't know. They don't care. Yeah. You're not as important as you think you are. Yeah. And that's okay. You just need to, like, be real about that. Like, you not being around is not affecting nobody's lives. Like, ain't nobody tripping about it like that. Just go out there and consistently deliver your music. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to make this big splash and all this other stuff. Just make a million little splashes. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then you become that. Then you become, you know, important or whatever the case may be. But, like, y'all not Frank Ocean. Y'all can't just disappear for 3 months and be like, cool, I'm coming back with a big splash, and you come back and you drop something and then you disappear for another year. Like, it don't work like that. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, man, sit down, take your one song and be like, how can I push this song and promote this song and move this song for the next 2 to 3 months? Yeah. And make sure this is all I'm focused on, is pushing this one song. Yeah. And then as soon as I get done with that and I got the next song. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And we're going to do that and just stay in people's faces, stay pushing the whatever part of the song and getting it, you know, people to remember that and just making those impactful things as opposed to just trying to make one big splash every 3 months. But the splash ain't big because nobody even remembers what you did last because you never told us. You know what I mean? Like, you gotta, this shit is a volume game. Right. And, like, people got to treat it like that.
And I mean, like, for me, with my content, which I've ramped up in the last, like, 4 or 5 months. Yes. I really had to get over, like...
And I commend you on that.
Appreciate it.
Like, that's it's hard to do.
There is a certain aspect, I feel, of, like, cringe or embarrassment that you have to, like, overcome because you feel like these little reels are so, like, fucking stupid when the music is the art. Yeah. But you got to look at it like the marketing. You know what I mean? Like, this is free marketing. Yeah. And I feel like when you see big artists and their songs on the radio or their songs on TV or their songs on the commercial or on the game or, you know, that's all marketing too. They just got a way bigger budget than you. Exactly. You know what I'm saying? Like, nobody's rarely, I would say, you turn on the TV and music is on there because it's fire. Somebody paid to get that on there. You know what I mean? So, I mean, like, you're not giving yourself and what I call it is discovery mode. I tell artists you're in discovery mode right now. So
that's a good time.
Yeah. Like, you're trying to get discovered. Frank Ocean has already been discovered. Therefore, he doesn't have to do social media for 6 months. No. Kendrick, when he disappeared for 2 years, he didn't have to do it. He was already been discovered.
It's been discovered.
Right. You have not been discovered, and you cannot let up for any amount of time. Yeah. I mean, I one thing that grinds my gears when an artist, especially a, you know, in a discovery level artist, says, I'm going to take a little break. Like that, you are undoing everything you just did.
Take a little break don't make sense.
Because like you said, sorry, one more point. Okay, it's like nobody's thinking about you ever. No. Like ever. No. Like everybody is only thinking about themselves. And that's not like an attack. That's just what it is. Everybody's thinking about themselves, thinking about everything you got going on in life. Everybody else has got the same amount of shit going on. Yes. And so nobody's thinking about you. So you have to constantly put yourself in their face, like you're saying. Like every day I'm dropping a new piece of something to put my song in your face. Yep. including talking about making this song today. You know what I mean? Like that's content as well.
Yeah.
And so it's free. You know what I mean? Like when you post every day, you're putting out an advertisement for yourself for free.
Yes.
And it might get 100 views, it might get 10,000 views.
Yes.
That's the same with any artist's music on any platform. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, and that's always my thing is like everybody wants to crack the algorithm.
Right.
And whatnot. The algorithm is simple. You feed it.
Yeah.
That's all you have to do, bro.
Yeah.
Just feed the motherfucker. Yes. Strategize and see what's working and being like, all right, let's keep, doing what's engaging, what attracts people and stuff. But in general, it's just keep feeding it. Like the algorithm ain't gonna work for you because you put out a single post about you put out a picture of your album cover one time and haven't posted nothing since that, and that was 6 months ago.
Yeah.
The algorithm ain't gonna work for you, dog. Like, what did you expect? You thought that was gonna go viral and change your life overnight? Like, everybody be looking for this. Everybody treat this shit like they're special and gonna go viral, bro. That happens, but that happens. It doesn't happen often.
Right.
Like, that's like winning a lottery. You might be better off going to play the lottery than just saying I'm gonna post this one time and it's gonna go crazy and go viral and change my life.
Right.
Like that is some lottery ticket shit. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's the exception to the rule. You need to play this game by the rules. The rules are this.
Right.
You need to consistently be putting out music content if you want to have a music career.
And also part of it is, if you have 60 pieces of content like you're rolling out, say the 30th piece does go fucking viral.
Yeah.
Now you have 30 pieces with a whole new audience of thousands of people.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like,
yes.
You have to have a plan and you have to keep at it.
For sure. And the thing is too, while you're like right now we've got High Def out. And like I said, we take the next 4 to 6 weeks, focusing and rolling out that. Well, in that time, we get time to work on the next joint.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And build that. And so we can have the follow-up ready to go. And we get to get ahead on things when we got a bunch of stuff coming out. Whereas people be like, I'm going to just drop the one song. And now they're behind. They're like, oh, I need to go hurry up and make a new song to stay up with everything. It's like, no, I can just put my one song out, promote, tell stories around it, build that, connect, let it do what it do while I'm working on the next. It's relieving the pressure from me. You know what I mean? Especially, again, if you got 9 to 5 and you getting your capacity split to other things, like, cool, I'm taking the pressure off myself because I got ahead. And so the next 60 days, I'm more focused on this, and then I'll work on the next thing during that 60 days, and then I can drop the next. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So it's like you taking pressure off yourself, trying to do it when it's like, yes, let me focus up and figure out everything I can do around this one song.
And I mean, if you're consistent with it too, like you're saying, how do we crack the algorithm? You be consistent. A lot of the music I've been listening to this year has come from artists on Instagram, and that I get recommended like in a reel form or something like that. But it's not even viral, right? It doesn't have a shit ton of likes. It doesn't have a shit ton of comments. But the algorithm puts somebody in front of me that it knows that I would like based on what I like.
Yeah.
Which is what it's going to do for your content if you're consistent as well.
For sure.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and we got to be realistic on like virality. Like
Right.
people be throwing viral around something crazy, like because you dropped a song and say it got 10,000, 15,000 views. That's not viral, bro.
No.
You know what's viral right now? 100 niggas fighting a gorilla. That's viral. Like the whole world is talking about that. You know what I'm saying? Like that's viral. That's just millions and millions of views, impressions. You know what I mean? You know what's viral? The dude with the morning routine with the Saratoga. That's viral.
Yeah.
That's when the companies and all these big ass entities start talking. That's virality, fam. People ain't going viral.
Right.
You know what I mean? You may have just had something that got a few thousand views, 100,000 views or something like that. That's like good. Like you had a good splash on the net. That's not virality. You know what I'm saying? You viral when your shit in the millions and people are using your shit. Like that's virality. You know what I'm saying? And so like that's extremely hard to do. It can't be manufactured, because if it would, everything and everybody would be going viral. Trust me, if virality could be manufactured, all these companies would be making shit go viral all the time.
Yeah.
You know, it's you can't. Shit just happen. Like I said, the 100 dudes versus a gorilla. It's just some random shit that just happens. Mm-hmm. But the best way for that to happen is if you putting shots up. You know what I'm saying? So yes, please put shots up.
Okay, so with all the game you've been spitting, I want to break it down to something super simple. What is something that artists can do today? Like just start today
Yeah.
on the trajectory of I can do music full time. What is something that they can do today?
Today, planning, if you got a song right now, sitting down and planning a rollout around your song. Going on YouTube, on TikTok, going to look at similar artists, feeds, and I'm not talking about the big super artists who are already on, who, like you said, don't have to do the things you have to do. Go find some smaller artists. Go find somebody that's 10,000 listeners on Spotify and go look at some of the things and their strategies for rolling their music out. And go look and see how can you effectively promote this single that you just made for the next 6 weeks.
Yeah.
And write that stuff down and map it out. Like go think of the lip syncs you can do. Think of the interviews you can do with podcasts, the one mics you can do, the breakdowns, the lyric breakdowns, all of that type of stuff. Think of every piece of content you can make around that one song and map all that shit out into a calendar for the next 6 weeks before you put the song out.
Yeah.
Like don't just map it out. Map it out and then go make it.
Yeah.
Create it, get it edited, shot, and do all of it. Have that piece of those, whatever the 6 months of content ready to go.
Yeah.
Before you even put the song out. Like that's what you can do today.
Yeah. Plan. Like that's what he's saying. Like start planning. I mean, because if you don't plan, you plan to fail. And a lot of artists on here aren't planning. They're just rolling by the, the skin of their teeth and
winging it, man.
Yeah.
Winging it. Like everybody think they see I remember when Beyonce dropped that surprise album and then everybody was like, I'm gonna go do a surprise album. Mm-hmm. It's fucking Beyonce, bro. She can do a surprise album and it's gonna go crazy, bro.
You don't got nobody to surprise right now.
You ain't got nobody to surprise.
The thing that's killing me right now, bro, is the deluxes.
Oh, y'all, man.
Everybody think they need a deluxe for what, bro? We didn't even hear the first one.
We didn't hear the first one,
yeah.
Man. Like, we don't need a deluxe, bro.
It's crazy.
Just give us the original joint.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, just figure out how to promote and push that. You know what I'm saying? And, like, those are the things where I'm like, yes, just strategize, bro. Stop, like, winging it. And just sit down and research what you really want to do.
All right, so much game in this podcast. I'm telling y'all, rewind, watch it back again, take notes. You know what I mean? Because half of what you're saying, bro, is shit. Like you sit there and you put in the time to research, you put in the time to learn. You know what I mean? Even talking about the real estate in your duplex, talking about the grants for that, talking about building your relationships for the social media, talking about the content strategies. It's all research, bro. It's not like I'm just going to try some shit. You know what I mean? You sat and you put in the time to see what's working for other people. How can I apply that to what I got going on, et cetera?
Yeah. No, that like, listen, well, he just said, write shit down. Like, rewind this and, like, write it down. Don't try to commit it to memory. You're not going to remember. Mm-hmm. Like, write things down. Really plan and strategize. Like, this is the work.
Yeah.
Like, this is the hard part. And I need people to realize, like, getting signed to a label and stuff is not going to absolve you of this stuff. Like, you're still going to have to do it there. Like, this stuff ain't no people that's just going to save you. You know what I mean? Like, you're still going to have to put in the work. Like, this is the work. If you really want to have a music career, if you just want to do music as a hobby, don't worry about it. You can cut this joint off, like and comment, and then cut it off. if you really about it, like, man, write this stuff down and, like, commit it to your strategy and start planning on doing what you're doing and stop winging it.
All right, a couple more things before we wrap this up because we could talk all freaking day.
All day.
I want to get into some more stuff you got going on personally. I want to talk about your summer coming up because I feel like you're going to be just as active, if not more active, than you were last summer, and you were crazy last summer.
For sure.
Let's talk about On Wax and the Juice Jams. What's in store for us for this year for those two events?
Yeah, so we've been doing On Wax. We've been doing Battle of the Decades up at Parlor. So yeah, we've been doing that monthly. So yeah, stay tuned for that. It's me, Brian B. Shining, DJ Duke, 90s versus 2000s versus 2010s.
I popped out super lit.
Yeah. Shit's always a vibe. Mm-hmm. Just something new, just something different, But yeah, pop out to that. We'll also be bringing the actual On Wax DJ battle, the bracket style DJ battle back soon. Definitely gonna bust one of those out this summer. And then Juice Jams kicks off June 20th. We do that with Ruby Jeans once a month from June to September. It's like a block party kind of party, vendors, celebration of the arts, platforming, music, fashion, visual art, all the mediums, film. We're just. I think this will be year 3. This will be year 2 for me as being a part of it, but this will be year 3 for Juice Jams. And yeah, we're just trying to make that bigger and keep growing that, and like I said, keep bringing value to the city and the community.
Yeah. And I mean, even last year, it's like from the beginning of last year's season to the end of last year's season, it got bigger just in the 1 year, like from the beginning to the end. So I'm excited to see what's in store for it for this year.
For sure. Yeah. It's gonna be a vibe, man. The summer's gonna be lit.
All right, let's just talk a couple general things before we get out of here. A lot of new music coming out / announced to come out this summer. Let's talk about what we're excited for. First thing, Young Thug and Future dropped this week. Scorpsky, I know you've been spinning it
100%, and people been calling me talking stuff. He know exactly who he is. Talking about some Young Thug, not who he used to be. I'm a Young Thug fan, and I'm bumping it. I done already pre-ordered his CD. It's gonna come as soon as it drop.
For sure.
Pre-ordering the CD is different, bro.
I'm telling you.
The CD?
My boy committed.
Oh God,
committed. I feel it though. That's dope. The record sound dope. I definitely threw that in the Serato. I'm anxious to see kind of what he's coming with. I know it's been a lot of talk around Thug, but Thug is Thug. He's a face of Atlanta. He's cemented in music history. So
I must be a hater then, because I wasn't feeling it.
You wasn't feeling the new joint?
Bro, I'm just like, what's new? What are we doing? What's different? Give me something.
I can understand that.
Yeah.
I think Kendrick has kind of like made it weird for a lot of just artists in general right now. With kind of how we know what he did, I think it's just he kind of shook shit up, and now people are looking for something new, something fresh. They looking for people that really kind of care about what they're doing or putting in a lot more effort.
Well, what I was hoping was going to come out of the whole Kendrick and the beef was that we were going to get more raw lyricists pushed to the forefront.
Yeah.
I don't think we've seen that as much as I had hoped, but like, I just thought this single didn't have a lot to offer. I did like the second part more than the first part.
Yep.
But to me, it just wasn't. And maybe that's because I'm not a Young Thug fan like you as much. I do like Young Thug and I do like Future. But to me, it just wasn't like, I'm not looking forward to the project as much as you say you are. You feel me? So
yeah.
But you have to say, how's it doing at the DJ battles, the DJing gigs and parties and stuff?
I said I haven't really got to see. I haven't played it out yet personally.
It only dropped like what last week?
I about to say it was just it's a few days ago. I don't even know it's been out a week yet.
Yeah.
So I haven't played it personally. We'll see the response from there. But like I said, I definitely think there's something different, and like you said, bringing lyricists to the forefront. We'll see if that happens. I said the music game in general feel like it's kind of in a weird space, this weird flux right now.
Yeah. I feel like the beats are more important than the artist. Like, what do you guys think? I don't know. Like, is it like a cover model plus a fire beat? Like, where is the artistry in what is being said? And I don't want it to be a thing of like, well, you ain't looking for the music hard enough. I want the mainstream to be that. You know what I'm saying? So,
yeah. It's I think it's been what the vibe is for a long time in music.
Yeah.
And it's just like, we're just looking for the vibe. Like music, the lyrics and stuff has just kind of become secondary.
Yeah.
And people, it doesn't seem like people care as much.
Yeah. It's kind of like the music industry is now, and it's always a part of it, but now it's really just the entertainment industry. You know what I'm saying? They're not looking for the message that music can give. They're just looking for that entertainment. They just want to not be bored for a minute. You know what I'm saying? And that's what they're looking for.
Yeah, and it's kind of put it in a weird space. Like I think melody probably has always been the most important thing.
Right.
We're in this weird space where it's like the only thing.
Right.
And it's just like, is it melodic? And is it something I can just kind of whatever throw on? Like, it's a lot of passive music being made, I think, where people ain't really listening. They just kind of throw it on to get a feeling, and it's just keep it moving. You know what I'm saying? Like, it ain't people who really on some like, no, I'm trying to like say something, do something with this.
Well, let's talk about some of the other music that's been announced then too, because it's kind of maybe what we're looking for. So at the Super Bowl, Lil Wayne had hinted, Carter 6.
Yeah.
But he is on the cover of Rolling Stone this month with an interview. It's been confirmed. Also, production from Kanye, Weezy, and Wyclef confirmed for the album. Are we looking forward to the Carter 6, June 6th?
I'm not. But that's
a hot take, my boy, honestly.
Bro, Wayne is a GOAT, generational dude. Like, we already, you know what I'm saying? He said, man, we know what it is as far as that. I just don't think Wayne has made, like, intentional music in who knows how long. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, he just kind of, like, Wayne one of them guys who's just, like, good at hoops and just hoops to hoop. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like, he just kind of, he plays like, yeah, we know you good at rapping and stuff like that, but, like, you ain't really giving us nothing that's, like, you know, meat on the bones that make us feel something. Especially when I put him up against, like, or you look at somebody like Hove, who's kind of in that same tier, but you look at the last, like, offering he gave, a 444, it's like, no, there's something to this. Like, you saying something, feeling something. It's like, Wayne just kind of get up here and rap.
Yeah.
Which is cool, but it's just like, man, when I put that against a GNX, you know what I mean? Things like that. Like, that's the expectation I have for Wayne. It's like, man, I expect you to be the upper tier guy.
All right, so when we talk about, like, some depth to the music, some substance, and we've mentioned Kendrick on multiple occasions.
For sure.
Is anybody else, like, up there doing this like that? Like, giving you the depth and the substance, but on the mainstream, beats are fucking fire level.
Yeah.
I say Reason. Like Reason, Schoolboy Q.
For sure.
Schoolboy Q, okay.
Yeah,
I can see that.
Schoolboy Q be going crazy.
Yeah, anybody out of the TD camp.
Doechii.
Doechii for sure. Doechii for sure.
One who's kind of giving you that type of feel right now. Which, again, is hard to do, and I ain't trying to put that on everybody or put that on the game, but I do think there's, like, a devaluation of that. Just people making intentional music,
right?
You know, doing more. Like, you can find a place to blend the two.
Yeah.
So I said there ain't no shade to Wayne, but I just feel like Wayne one of them people who just he rapping to rap, but he playing ball to play ball. He ain't trying to win championships, you know. Like, you just gonna go give us, like, some highlights and do what you do, but it's like we ain't winning no chips, you know.
I think I had seen was Ontario Ray posted on his story the other day. He said something along the lines of, like, people are out here mistaking mediocrity for, like, being different, for being something new.
That's real.
And I was like, wow, I never thought of it like that, but that really, like, hit me. Like, it really is true, because it's like we're like, oh man, nobody's ever rapped like this before, and you'll see the video and it's like super mid.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, yeah, because, like, we've never promoted it because it's not good.
It's not good.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
nobody's rap like this because it's not good.
Right.
Or they'll get the like the little white kid rapping over some sliding beats.
Yeah.
And be like, oh, this shit is crazy. And it's just like, I mean,
is it?
Is it? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know, it's like, not really. Like, he just rapping like somebody else, but not really about none of the stuff that he rapping about. You know, it's just over some sliding beats. Like,
and we out here fighting for the same real estate. You know what I mean?
You know
basically.
what I mean? Yeah, like, it's just like, I mean, okay. But that's a good point. Shout out to him. That's definitely, like, it's definitely a lot of mediocrity that's getting pushed. And it's like, man, this shit ain't good.
All right, last new release I want to bring up, and if you weren't excited for Carter 6, I don't know how excited you'll be for this. Mass Appeal, which is Nas's label, announced this summer new music from Nas, DJ Primo, Mobb Deep, Ghostface Killah, Raekwon, De La Soul, and Big L.
This is gonna sound crazy. I've never heard music from anybody you just named.
You never heard Nas?
Just Nas. Just Nas.
You've ever heard Wu-Tang Clan? Bro. I would have saved that for off camera.
Never hearing the Wu-Tang Clan is crazy. Like, just never hearing them is crazy. I can understand not maybe being a fan of them.
Honestly, you've heard them and you probably just don't know it's them, bro.
You've heard them and probably just don't know.
And
Nas
same
is-
with my bad. And same with Mobb Deep, honestly.
Yeah, for sure.
And you've definitely heard DJ Premier Beats, whether you realized it or not.
Beats for sure.
It's interesting hearing new music coming from them because, I mean...
Well, Nas, we get.
Nas
He's still
is-
putting out new music. So is DJ Primo.
Yeah.
Mobb
like,
Deep, Prodigy's been dead for 5 or 6, 7
Yes.
years.
Big L has been dead for like
20,
30.
30. Yeah.
So it's like, oh, we getting new music for them.
De
I
La
don't know about
Soul, one of the members passed away last
that.
year.
Yep.
But you know, I don't know. You know, with the Mobb Deep thing and the Big L thing, it's like I've never really been a fan of any of this posthumous Tupac shit or any Biggie shit like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
For sure.
I don't know how AI inclusive this shit is going to be.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
I'd hate for that. Bro.
And I think they would too. I don't see somebody that's such a purist like Nas and DJ Premier and them like using AI to bring any of this shit to life.
For sure.
But, you know, even though Scorp doesn't listen to any of these guys, they're some of my favorites of all time.
For sure. I mean, I am excited for like Nas music because I think he's, especially like after Nas got with Hit Boy, I don't know what it. Nas and Hit Boy getting together is one of them situations I wish it would have happened earlier.
Right.
I guess in Nas's career, like.
Right. I think it was the right timing for Hit Boy though. I don't. It might have been like what you're saying, like you wish it would have happened earlier for Nas, but I think the timing was right for Hit Boy.
Yeah, 1,000. But like it was definitely perfect timing for Hit Boy. I guess and it didn't have to be Hit Boy. I wish Nas would have found somebody like a Hit Boy for himself earlier in his career.
Because the knock has always been like the beats ain't the greatest on all Nas's projects.
He's not good at selecting his beats.
And I've seen like some sort of clip recently that was discussing that, and he had mentioned that he wanted to kind of tie into what we had said. He was wanting the focus on his projects to be the lyrics.
Yeah.
And so he didn't want like just every song being fire as hell.
Yeah.
Now that seems like that don't really make any sense.
Yeah.
Because Nas is always going to be recognized for the lyrics, no matter how hard the beats are.
Sure. To almost to a fault. Like people will like hate on him for making something that's like a single because it's like, oh, you ain't supposed to be doing that. Hate on him for making a single while everybody else making singles.
Yeah.
And it's just like, oh no, you supposed to be the lyric guy.
But I mean, all these names together on a label, you know, it makes me feel like it's gonna be great.
Yeah.
I feel like the Carter 6 will probably be great. I feel like the new Young Thug project will probably be great. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I am excited for Nas though, because the King Disease Magic was really the
Magic
one.
Was the best one.
Magic was by far the best one.
Magic, I don't know what the rating is on it now, but after the first few months after it dropped, was one of the top rated hip hop albums of all time.
Yeah, Magic is, yes.
Yeah, Magic is so fire.
So yeah, especially if he's dropping new music and he's kind of like in that bag.
Yeah,
for sure, excited for it.
All right, y'all. Any other thoughts before we wrap this thing up?
Great.
I'm about to say I'm good. One thing we didn't talk on, I want to make sure I say this.
Yes, please.
You had asked about what artists can do today.
Mm-hmm.
I want artists to understand how crucial networking is to what you're doing.
Yes.
Like networking is bigger than your talent. It's bigger than all of that stuff. Like networking will get you in places you never thought you could be. And that's just being outside. That's going to other people's shows. That's doing things that aren't necessarily just direct for you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because I think a lot of people only come outside and only do shit when it's directly affecting them. And it's like, man, go support some other people. Go just be around.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of shit you'll get just from hanging around. You know what I'm saying?
And, you know, show support before you ask for something too.
Yes.
Don't have the first time you meet somebody be you asking them for something.
Please don't do that. Go support what somebody's doing, or just, like I said, dap somebody up, have conversations with somebody. Like, people always talk to me about the Bel Air thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell people all the time, like, bro, that was something that took several years. And it started with me just going and building FaceTime with Morgan.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And just becoming cool. And I wasn't going in there looking for something, man. The first time I meet you, hey, man, can you put me in your TV show? Like, nah, fam. You know what I mean? Those things will happen if you're just being cool and being around and not, you know what I'm saying? And yes, there's a closed mouths don't get fed thing. I understand that, but don't just be everywhere with your hand out. Like, the easiest way to get somebody to support what you're doing is to support what they're doing.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I'm saying? And so, like, come approach situations trying to bring value. And that's what I look to do, even with the collaborations and influence and all that shit. I'm coming in here like, how can I bring value to what you're doing?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And we can mutually benefit and grow and do what we do.
Yeah.
So, like, approach situations like that and stop fucking sending links to your shit without saying that. People do that to me all the time. Hey, bro, don't just send me your link. Like, unsolicited, dog.
Or don't just DM me, yo. That shit is
Yeah,
never
so
getting
that's what I mean.
responded to.
Don't DM
ever.
me. Just shit.
Yo.
Like, no.
Hell
I ain't
nah.
never seen you. Ain't never said what's up to me. You ain't even say what's up in the DM. You just sent me your latest joint. Like, bro, I'm not responding to.
Hell no.
Like that's not how you network. That's not professionalism. That's not the proper way to move. Like, come talk to somebody. Go pull up on somebody. Meet somebody. You know what I'm saying? Chop it up. Build some rapport. Build a relationship with somebody before you just come asking or doing anything like that. So, yes.
Game on game on game.
Learn how to network, man.
We're at the end of the podcast. Rewind it. Listen to that shit back. Take notes.
Write it down, man.
All right, y'all. That's it for us. At CodeRedKC, at We Got One Scorp, at The Royal Chief. Chief, thanks again, bro.
Man, appreciate y'all having me.
For sure. TraKCouts, bouncing out.
Your TraKCouts. We out.